Hi, welcome everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. First time I've used one of these mics. Hi, I'm Heptinstall, Senior Systems Engineer at Veeam Software. It's the second time I've done this event, first time on this stage, but I do like the surroundings as a Manchester United fan, so I really do like this event. But if that's knocked any of my credibility, I've got 20 years experience in cybersecurity and data protection, and I'll be taking you through today, if we've got a slide on at all. Oh, there we go. I'll be taking you through today some data challenges that we see from a protection point of view and a backup and recovery. I'm also going to be talking about today's version of a data protection strategy and also kind of what we did traditionally as well. And also why Veeam. I'll cover off the Veeam story and messaging. I'm joined on stage by Tom Richardson, who's going to cover our data protection trends report.
Awesome. Thanks, Ian. Well, I'm a Southern United fan, so it's really great to be here. I've been at Veeam for the past 5 years, helping my customers really utilize the full capabilities that Veeam has to offer. That's sure backup, secure restore, which Ian will cover in a little more detail on the following slides. But we're going to start with the Data Protection Trends Report. This was an independent research that covered about 3,000 companies, really focusing on what they felt like the changes to the organization they were experiencing, what's driving those changes, and obviously the threat that ransomware has on those companies. We'll also look at some statistics down to recovery time, amount of data that was recoverable, and then what customers felt like the biggest impact of ransomware was on their company. So this one is a really good one to start. 24% of companies believed that they had no attacks from ransomware in the past year, which means 76% of companies were left experiencing at least more than one attack. Typically, the thought was after one attack, companies would receive trainings to their employees. What are these phishing attacks by emails, text message threats? What do they look like? And receive some training. Also invest in new technologies. Possibly over the last few years, there's been more ransomware attacks because we've had such a change in how customers use technologies. Greater use of Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, working from home, all factors that have possibly led to more ransomware attacks. So of that 76% that was of those 76% of customers, we looked at how much of that data was recoverable and how long it took to recover that data. Roughly 64% of that data was recoverable in 1 to 2 weeks. The cost of downtime is roughly 80K per minute. So if you're experiencing 1 to 2 weeks of downtime, 80K per minute, that certainly adds up. We want to look at how Veeam can help you recover quicker and also make sure those backups are safe to recover and you don't restore anything too quickly that isn't secure. So of that left 36% of data that was not recoverable. Potentially lost. What was that data? Payment records, confidential patient records. Could be a wide range. What impact did that have on customers? So from the Data Protection Trends Report, we saw the responses were largely that the biggest one was loss of customer confidence and damage to the brand integrity. We've got a QR code at the end as well that Ian will share where you guys can download this Data Protection Trends Report. But yeah, photo anything you like, but the whole Data Protection Report is available. But those two at the top there are really external to IT. But as you guys know in security, it's IT's responsible to make sure there is no downtime. So I'm going to hand over to Ian to talk about some backup policies and really what Veeam will help you do to make sure there's less downtime.
Cheers, Tom. So as we've mentioned there, 76% of companies knowingly have had a ransomware attack, and quite frightening, so many had had 6 or more attacks. But the 24% that were sat there with no knowledge doesn't mean they haven't been attacked. They just weren't aware. So we kind of go with the view that, and as if you go and speak to any of the security vendors today, the statistics are that it's more of when rather than if you're going to be attacked. So do you really like them odds? To quote a bit of Eminem, it only takes one shot for it to get through and attack your data, and you've got to always be 100% correct and accurate in protecting that data. So when these attacks are coming in, and there was a statistic the other day I was reading, it was 300,000, this is in 2022, 300,000 new malware were created every single day. Now that's a crazy statistic. How are we going to protect all of them? Even with the product sets that we have today, we're going to be in a position where recovery is actually the most important part of our data protection strategy, and it's going to be the last line of defense when it comes to ransomware. So apart from the fact that we've got 300,000 new malware every day created, what else is happening in our industry? And all of these things, maybe apart from the cloud technology, was happening 10, 15 years ago anyway. So alert fatigue. Sorry, I forget the guy's name from Abnormal, but he mentioned false positives. We have this kind of thing in IT industry, is that we get so many alerts, we've got so much monitoring, so much observability. We feel like we can see everything, but what can we actually do about that? We get so much of it, we get alert fatigue, we get false positives, we stop things from actually being a prevalent part of protection, that we end up kind of drowning out the good stuff. So we need to start focusing on how we reduce that alert fatigue. Missing patches. Everybody should have a patch management policy. And as part of that patch management policy, you're doing security fixes, you're bringing technology up to the latest standards. But missing patches still happens. Vendors are getting better, we're getting better at releasing security patches when they're found, but are you getting better at implementing them? Are you still doing a 3-month cycle, a 1-month cycle? You have to be really actioning these things on a regular basis. So again, another way into your data is missing patches. So I'm building up these 7 cases as to why we are actually going to be hit by ransomware, and we have to use a data protection company to do that recovery. Password policies. Now, I see some of you nodding your head already. How many people knowingly have the same password for administrator and service accounts? Knowingly don't force complexity on customers because a VIP has said today, I don't want to have a 16-character password, I want a 5-character password. And then you have to then put multi-factor authentication on top of that. So you're investing more security to try and eliminate password policy bad practice. Now, lack of network segmentation is, again, more of a modern thing. We spent years having a data center or a local network, and then we had maybe a DMZ and a firewall that protected that. Network segmentation is really key to stopping that east, west, north and south ransomware and potentially hackers get into data that they shouldn't get. This bit here, let's see if this laser works. This bit is almost as key as anything else that we're doing, because even if you are, and again, we say when you get compromised, you don't want them to be able to get to the next application system, the next set of data. If you can limit how far an attacker or a ransomware can go, then you're in a great position to at least reduce the impact. Now, working for a data protection company, my favorite subject now, untested backups and slow recovery times. Now, if I asked, and I won't ask you by the way, how many people are actually testing backups, I already know that more than 50% of you won't be testing, or will put your hand up anyway and will say, well, I did a recovery last week because I had to do a recovery. That is not testing. So having automated backup, automated testing, recovery verification is absolutely the key, and it's one of the key takeaways today, that if you're not doing that, how do you know, even if you are attacked, and we say when, can you recover that data? And then can you recover it in a quick and efficient way? Misconfiguration. Now, when we talk about this, we've all done it. We've all worked long enough in the IT industry. Even if you're new to the industry, you'll have made a mistake. You've misconfigured a firewall. You've misconfigured an application. You've configured something wrong in the environment. Did you ever go and correct it? And who's verifying, who's checking, who's doing peer reviews of that work? All of that, if it's still open, you've created a loophole. You've created a way, a backdoor into your environment, and more importantly, into your data that is key to your business running. And then the last one, very relevant at the moment, cloud technology. You've got a cloud strategy. What is it? Cloud first. Hearing all these buzzwords around cloud. All I actually see is when I speak to customers is I've started fresh in a cloud. I've got new security principles. I've got new password controls. I've got all of this patching, all this great stuff that I've fixed in the cloud, but I've got a connection to my data center. Okay, have you fixed it in your data center? No, I haven't. So I'm now in another challenge where I've got great stuff in the cloud, terrible stuff in the data center, or okay stuff in the data center, but I've got a link between them. And now I've compromised my cloud policies because I need the communication to happen. So again, we need to be addressing these, and I'm sure there's technologies out there to address that. But when it comes to data protection, how do we address it? Currently, you should be doing at least 3-2-1. Does everybody understand the 3-2-1 rule? Let's see if anybody's nodding their head. A couple of people. So 3-2-1. This is what everybody should be doing anyway in backup. This is not a new thing. You should be having 3 copies of your data. One of them is your production, that's a given. One of them then is your backup, which is great, everybody will have a backup. But do you have a second copy of that backup? You should be having another copy. And in a traditional fashion, that would be on different media that would be potentially tape. Again, that's a traditional way of doing it. If I ask again how many people have tape, a lot less than 10 years ago. Tape is getting phased out because people want an online, recoverable, always accessible second copy of that data. So we look at that one, off-site. One copy of this should be off-site. In a public cloud is now the norm. Back in the day, that was a tape that went off to somewhere in the Outer Hebrides, and people would go and collect it. It'd take 4 weeks to recover that data. So if it's in the cloud and it's always online, where's the security? We've now lost this physical separation. It's off-site, but it's always online. So let's go back to my first favorite subject, tested. It doesn't matter if I have all this 3-2-1, if I'm not testing my backups and I'm not regularly verifying, I'm not actually able to do any of the 3-2-1 rule because I can't recover my data. So you should go into the 3-2-1-0 rule. But we're Veeam, we like numbers, we like acronyms. Let's throw in another one. 3-2-1-0. 1-1-0, I can't even do my own. It's at least one of these copies is secure. So how do we secure that? Traditional tape, offline, physically air-gapped. Great, slow recovery. Let's bring in immutability. So the immutability is the ability to prevent modification, deletion, tampering, and even authorized users from accidental deletion. So this is an online copy that is locked to a technology or a state that has got a timestamp and cannot be modified or deleted or changed. So with Veeam technology, we can do this, and we can cover all of these elements as part of your right data protection strategy. If I go on to a bit more about Veeam then. So I've just mentioned there immutability. But you need to trust it. You need to know that it's working. So with Veeam, we have our trusted immutability model. And in version 12 that is soon to launch, and I'll cover that in a second, we have more ways of doing immutability at different layers in that 3-2-1-1-0 data protection strategy. It's the ability to lock that data in the first copy and in the second copy and have different timestamps as well. You might want that first copy to only be short retention and that second copy to be long retention, but still keep that data secure from modification, ransomware, insider threat. So we're able to do that with our trusted immutability. Backup verification. Again, this is one of my favorite subjects. When I first started in IT, testing backups, changing tapes, verifying backups, it was the guy that first started. Last in the business, give him the job to do. Having it as an automated way of verification and for testing allows you to reduce time in your business and start focusing on the things that really matter. But for us, this does matter. So make it automated, make it proven, backup verification. We cover your 3-2-1-1-0 rule, which I've said. We're able to do that with immutability. We're able to do that with our Sure Backup product for doing testing and verification. But this is all great. You've already said, though, we're going to be attacked. What about if we get attacked it sits there and we back up that attack. So all we do is go around in a loop. We're recovering that data. I'm now getting attacked again. I go around in a vicious circle. So that 2 to 1 weeks, it's great. I'm recovering in 5 minutes, but I'm back down again. What do we have to do that? So we have Secure Restore, and that is the ability to recover your backup data and scan that data for malware and antiviruses and whatever kind of can come from your anti-malware product. So it's not a Veeam product, it's a Veeam method to allow you to leverage your antivirus product. It also could be a second layer of using a different anti-malware product. If you go and speak to anybody today, talk about security principles, it's all about having layered security. So Secure Restore is a post-process, after backup check that can be used as a recovery method and a backup testing to see if you've got anti-malware or ransomware within your backup. So when you do have to, and we say have to, do that recovery, you're going to be able to make sure it's clean before you recover back into your production environment. But again, great, it's secure now, I'm able to scan it before I recover it, so it's nice and clean. How quick can it be? We can do all of these using instant recovery. It's a method of leveraging your backups to present that data back into your production environment at a quick and efficient manner that means that you're up and running and ready to go within a matter of minutes. The benefit there is that you can then do it at scale and then recover fully back into your production environment so you're not running out of backup at a time that suits you and the business. So if you had an outage at 4 o'clock, you have something you have to get completed by 5 o'clock, you can do instant recovery to run all of your reads from the backup and then fail it over post 5 o'clock after you've finished the job and task that you need to do, and that will still have all of your written new data in there. That all sounds great, Ian. We've now got verification, we've got security, we've got an instant recovery. Some of it sounds quite manual. Maybe not. DR orchestration. So with Veeam Disaster Recovery and Orchestration, I can do all of what I've talked about today in a workflow that can be pre-populated, created, tested and verified before I have to have my disaster recovery, and it's fully documented. So anything that is automated is fantastic, but how does it tell me? How do I know that that's working? With DR orchestration, I get it documented, my recovery point, my recovery time, objectives are met, and I can do this on a regular basis, whether I'm in a true disaster recovery or whether I'm just testing. Before I hand back to Tom, it's important to know that we've got a product portfolio. It includes cloud, it includes containerization, it includes monitoring as well as part of your data protection strategy. So Tom's going to cover a bit more around the Veeam data platform before we end with some useful information around what security products to go and see later on today.
Thanks, Ian. Yeah, this is my favorite part. You see the wide capabilities that Veeam provides our customers through one data platform. It started as a VMware backup, our integrations there. Over the past 15 years, through millions in research and development, we brought new product, new technologies to the market. We've increased our integrations with the likes of HPE, Cisco, Dell. Now that we're in version 7 of our cloud products like Microsoft 365, Ian can tell you we're bringing immutable copies to the market. Salesforce Backup was also released pre-Christmas. We've already got customers using that to make sure that their Salesforce data is recoverable, they can test it, and that they trust they can access that. Yep. And then if we, one of the things that I wanted to mention here is unstructured data and physical. These are two pieces that have really come to light, especially the unstructured data piece. The ability to back that up, instantly recover it. A few years ago, we did a live demo where I took down Wikipedia and recovered it in an amount of time, which was actually really exciting to watch. But yeah, service providers offering. So how is this licensed? Through our Veeam Cloud service providers, you can add a layer of management if you want. You can also just traditionally procure the license. That would be having full control of your environment. The Veeam product will grow with you. It's agnostic. You can use it today in your current technology, or it can move with you as you change your strategy to potentially increase more cloud workloads. And then with the cloud workloads, you can bring them down on-premise or replicate across cloud workloads. One thing the service provider can offer you, if you need it, it's just an off-site backup. They also can deliver you a full service model where they'll test your backups, make sure they're deliverable, and really take all of that management and testing away from you. So I'll hand it back over to Ian here.
Yeah, cheers, Tom. So you mentioned there about the cloud service providers. So again, if actually having a product that does the security, does the backups, does the verification, but you actually want somebody else to run that for you, our Veeam cloud service providers can do that and as a managed service. But we're really excited to say that version 12 is on its way. So this is our flagship product is Veeam Backup and Replication. Version 12 launch is Valentine's Day. So if you haven't got a gift for your wife or partner or friend, then send them this link and hopefully they'll get a nice download to look at our new version of Veeam Backup and Replication. It's really exciting. It brings more trusted immutability, so more options around where we can do immutability. We've got cyber resilience, and we're the market leader in hybrid cloud protection. So all of that is still in there with version 12. Do you want to take a picture, Andy, while you're up? And before we go and send you on to other security vendors to explore, I mean, Abnormal have covered it today regarding email. This is from our data protection trends report. This is still the #1 way. So 44% of the attacks that happened were through a phishing email, a malicious link, a website. So end users are our problem. We know that. So how do we protect them? Using products to protect that email security. Infected patch and software. Again, I've mentioned about missing patches, but just generally installing things that shouldn't be installed. You've got to be more aware of what that product set is. And then we mentioned around that 300,000 new malware, 0-day and critical vulnerabilities. Surprisingly, still only 26% of all of these attacks actually happened through a 0-day. So still very important that we address that, and we've got that recovery mechanism. But maybe there's something, again, that we as security people, we're not doing enough education in the user base. So I'm going to leave you now with the 3-2-1-1-0 rule for your right data protection strategy. And if you want to know more about that data protections trend report, hopefully that QR code will work on the monitor and on the big screen. And we have been Veeam, and we are outside at the stand 5, is it, Karen? Somebody said stand 5. But if you want to come and have a conversation with us, we'll take questions at the booth. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.